Hello, I'm Rachel Lankester, and I'm the founder of Magnificent Midlife, this wonderful page that you're on, and the wonderful community that we have online, and the Magnificent Midlife Members Club, and yeah, all sorts of cool stuff. And tonight I am here to take you on a gander or a meander through your midlife, or your brackets midlife, your midlife and beyond, whatever stage you're at, to help you get some clarity on where you are now, where you might want to be, what bits are good, what bits are not so good, and then work out where you might want to start making changes, because sometimes there can be so much stuff, can't there? It's just overwhelming. There's so many things. You're like, where am I going to start? What am I going to do? What do I start with first? And when you get in that sort of state of overwhelm, then it's easier to just not take any action, except it's easier in the short term not to take any action. But in the longer term, you're probably just shooting yourself in the foot. Tonight, we are going to take stock of where you are now. And the reason for doing this is because it's a very good idea to, first of all, get the basics good. Because before you can go off and be magnificent in your midlife and beyond, it's good to get the basics right and get them out of the way so that they're not bothering you on a day-to-day basis, so that you can go on and flourish. And it's also good to establish a baseline so that you can then track change. You can track how you're growing. You can track how your life might be transforming, okay? How you're making those changes. So establishing that baseline is really important. Deciding on priorities, that's what we're going to do today. And we're going to work out what you might want to focus on first. So the areas we're going to be looking at today are financial security, because whenever I survey the community, financial security is either 1 or 2 on that list. Even if we have it all fantastic, it's usually still an area of concern for most of us, isn't it? I know it certainly is for me. I can't see myself ever stopping work, to be honest. We're going to look at career and work. We're going to look at caring and other commitments, because in midlife, generally, we tend to have quite a lot of those, don't we? We're going to look at health and well-being, which is really, really, really important. We're going to look at relationships and see how good those are. We're going to look at style, our own personal sense of style. And then we're going to look at fulfillment, purpose, and legacy. And legacy doesn't mean how much money you're going to leave behind. It means, what do you want people to remember of you when you're not here anymore? Because I certainly find that the older I get, the more I want to have purpose. I want to be doing something that is purposeful. So I don't know about you, but that's how I feel. And I just assume everybody thinks like me. So the thing is, are we going to go top down or bottom up or start in the middle? It's entirely up to you. For the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to go top down. But what you do is entirely up to you, okay? So the 5 steps to a magnificent midlife, which is the document that was on the link that I sent to you. This is something that I use within the Magnificent Midlife Members Club. And it's a way of framing your experience of life and your midlife journey in particular. And this is actually my midlife journey. So if you're struggling, I don't know, can you see this? Is it a little bit too small? I'm going to talk you through it, so hopefully it'll be all right. But you do have a link to be able to go and download it if you need to. And you can always make the screen bigger as well, hopefully, if you're not on a mobile phone. If you're on a mobile phone, it might be tricky. So it's really starting off, so questioning on the left-hand side. So where you really are stuck and you just really lost your mojo and your zest for life and you're wondering, what on earth am I supposed to be doing now? Is this all there is? And then hopefully, if you make a commitment to doing some work to make positive change happen in your life, which is part of what the Members Club is about, you move on to getting clarity. And you get clarity on what your wants and needs are, what your priorities are. So it's kind of what we're going to do this evening, to get a little bit more clarity. But also you start evaluating your own personal narrative and working out whether what you tell yourself serves you anymore, whether your whole existence serves you anymore. So it's about establishing what your ideal midlife and beyond would look like, and then trying to work out what you can do to get you a bit closer to that. Right? So then we go off onto an exploring stage, and this is just when you dabble, so you've worked out roughly what you'd like to be doing, and you go off and you explore, and you try a bit of this and you try a bit of that, and you're building the things that go in your midlife toolkit. And I talk quite a lot about the midlife toolkit, and it's all of the things that you might want to put in it. And hopefully some of those things might become clear this evening in terms of what it would be good to have in your toolkit to enable you not just to survive, but to really thrive. Okay, so that's what we're aiming for. And during this period, you're really sort of growing in confidence, whereas you started out questioning that you're really pretty lacking in confidence. And then hopefully you move on to transforming, where you're seeing a real change in your life path. The things that are different, and you're seeing a shift, and you're becoming more resilient to life's knocks. You're making peace with issues perhaps that have held you back in the past. And you're continuing to build that toolkit and move yourself forward. And then in the end, magnificence is where we all want to end up, but not necessarily in everything all at one time. As you'll see as we go through this audit process, you might be, up the scale on one area of your life, and you might be right back at questioning or getting clarity on another area of your life. So it just depends, okay? So on the midlife toolkit, it'd be good while we're going through this process, think about what's already in it. Does it serve you now and into the future? And what do you think you could add to it? So what else might you want to put in your midlife toolkit? And where do you feel you are on the 5 steps overall? Look at this as an overall now before we get into the detail. But are you questioning? Are you, stuck back at the beginning feeling rather lacking in confidence? Are you getting clarity? Are you exploring, dabbling and having fun, exploring all sorts of new things? Are you actually transforming because you've done that exploration and you're seeing a real change in your life? Or are you just absolutely fulfilled, empowered and inspiring other women to follow you on the way through? Okay, so if you have an idea on that, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. And as I said before, you may be at one stage in one area of your life and in a completely different one in another. So let me know. I'm just going to check the comments. The slides are up. You can see. Do I need to refresh it? Everything all right? I think I'll just carry on as if nothing happened. Let me know if there's any problems. But do tell me where you think you might be on the 5 steps. Okay? I'll double back in a minute and have a look. So we're going to start the audit in a minute. A few things I want you to remember. I want you to keep an open mind, okay? Potentially anything is possible. I don't want you to put any limitations on yourself. What we're thinking about is sort of, ideal scenario type imagining, because that's the most powerful. That's where you get the most possibilities out. And remember, it is never too late for anything. Sometimes I say, well, it's perhaps a bit too late for me to go skydiving, but is it? There are people in their 90s who go skydiving. It's my fear that would stop me doing that. But, okay, so it's never too late to do anything. And self-belief is crucial. If you've seen any of my other workshops that I do on here, I often start with self-belief. And that's what I mean when you're going back to basics and getting those basics right so that you can then go on to flourish. Because without self-belief, it's very hard to move forward. It's very hard to grow. It's very hard to get beyond limiting beliefs. And also, the prejudices that society puts on us as older women, isn't it? So we have to have that strong inner self-belief core to be able to go and take on the world. And no self-judging, okay? So don't judge yourself. As I go through the things that you're going to want to consider, please don't judge yourself. It's your life and it's your time scale. So don't worry about that. And now I have a reminder on here. Where does overwhelm fit in the 5 steps, says Claire? I think it's up the beginning. I think it's in the questioning. In fact, if I scoot back. Yes, look, feeling a bit overwhelmed. You might not be able to see that because it's in the small print. But yes, that's definitely in at the beginning. Now, you won't need this document yet, but I'm going to give it you now so that you have it ready if you want to go and download it as well. So this is the document that probably we may not get time to actually do this tonight, but it's something that you'll be able to do at the end of the session. You'll be able to fill it in. Okay, so right. So any more questions? Anything else? Claire gave me a thumbs up on the overwhelm. Anybody else have any comments? No? Right. Okay, let's carry on. So remember, we are aiming for midlife and beyond as magnificent as possible. That's what it says on the tin. Okay? So, first off, we're going to have the big E, financial security. Now, with each of these areas, what I want you to do is score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. And I guess I probably should have said get yourself a pen and paper, shouldn't I? Oops, I always forget to do that. But if you have got pen and paper, grab it if you can. We will then, what I'd like you to do, yes. So 1 is you're not at all comfortable. 5 is you're just okay, it's all right. And 10 is extremely comfortable. And if you were to look at the 5 steps, you'd have 1 as questioning, you'd have 5 as exploring, and you'd have 10 as magnificent, roughly. Yeah, roughly. Sort of a slight correlation. It's not complete at all, but that's kind of the idea. So, starting off with financial security, how well do you know your financial situation? So these are some of the questions I'm going to ask you to be able to then score yourself, okay? So just, don't think too much about the scoring. Just put down a number that makes sense to you, that, expresses how you feel in the moment. Don't overanalyze it. So how well do you know your financial situation? Do you have a good handle on it, or do you leave it to somebody else and not really think about it? Are you really not sure? Do you have a handle on your debt? Do you have debt? Have you got it on the best interest rate if you do have debt? Do you have a pension or savings? Do you know what's in your pension? Do you know what it's invested in? Do you know whether or not it will cover your needs in retirement or later life? Are you saving now for your future? And do you have an emergency fund? I always talk about, personally, I try to have at least 3 months in the bank as an emergency fund. If I got ill, couldn't work, any other problems, just so that I've got that fallback. So do you have an emergency fund? So it's really, a lot of this is about knowledge. And then if you have the knowledge, how good is the situation? So the next one, career and work. So again, I want you to score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. 1, not at all comfortable. 5, just okay. And 10, extremely comfortable. Okay? So do you live to work, or do you work to live? Because the older we get, the more we want it to be live to work. To think about that, not work to live. Okay? That's the way we want it to be. If we possibly can. I know it's not always an option, but that'd be nice to work towards that, wouldn't it? So do you have a feeling that you should be doing something else or something more? That is certainly what has driven me over the last decade, that I have this feeling that I'm supposed to be doing something else. I'm supposed to be doing something more. And now I'm doing it, and I love it. And it's brilliant. And it's a bit of a side hustle still. But I'm getting there, and I love it. And to be honest, I do it for free because I love it so much. But do you have a dream job? Do you have a dream that you've never fulfilled that could turn into a job? And can you work out whether it's financially feasible to follow your dream? And again, could it be initially a side hustle? Could you do it as a side hustle? So score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How comfortable are you with the area of career and work? And if anybody wants to tell me in the comments how they are feeling on this, tell me. Eyes here, I mean the first slide of the presentation. I wanted to take a screenshot because it's lots of info. Yes, well, eyes here, you'll be able to watch it again afterwards, and you'll be able to pause it, whenever you like. So it will remain on the page, certainly for a while. I don't know how long, but it will remain on the page for a while. So you'll be able to watch it again and pause it and then take screenshots. Okay? All right, let's move on. Any other comments? Anybody want to share how they're feeling about financial stability or career and work? We're getting the heavy stuff out first, okay? So, caring and other commitments. Goodness me. So, again, we're scoring ourselves scale of 1 to 10. What caring commitments do you have? Are you still looking after children? Are you looking after parents? Do you have other commitments? Are you still able to prioritize yourself, or are you completely lost in the messy middle? Is an impending empty nest causing you concern? Are you really worried and thinking, oh, I need to do something? I'll tell you what, this was my empty nest strategy, because I knew I needed something to keep me going. I knew I needed something to distract me, keep me busy. It certainly does that. So that's bear it in mind. So do you need and can you access help with your caring commitments? And if you don't have kids, are you wondering what your midlife and beyond role is? Because, equally you feel rather lost and everybody else is at different stages in their life. So score yourself on that scale again and on caring and other commitments. Katie says, I enjoy working. I have a side hustle or 3. Good for you. Well, you have to tell us about them. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to move on to health and well-being. So, are you generally in good health? That's the first one to start with, isn't it? Because we can't, all rely on good health, and some of us don't have good health, and then that's a basic that we can't get sorted. Can you improve on your general health? Do you have a good level of fitness? Because guess what? We need to do more to maintain that level of fitness the older we get, not less. So do you prioritize movement and getting enough exercise day to day? How's your diet? Do you have a good diet that works for the stage of life that you are at? And are your hormones sufficiently balanced, or is menopause still a problem for you? So score yourself. 1, not at all comfortable. 5, just okay. 10, extremely comfortable. So Emily says she's overwhelmed with other commitments like a swan, calm on the outside, paddling like anything under the surface. Oh, yes. You and half of the rest of us, I'm sure. Oh, yeah. It's very hard, isn't it? Very hard. And Eyes Here. What's your real name, Eyes Here? It's not really Eyes Here, is it? Says, I'm pondering my next role after raising children. Yeah, it's something you have to think about, isn't it? Okay, so let's move on. Next one, relationships. This is a tricky one, and maybe it's a little bit more difficult to be objective and analytical about this one. But how good are your key relationships? Do they serve you? Does your primary relationship bring you joy? Would you like a new primary relationship? Do you have a primary relationship? Do you want one? Do you not want one? What can you do to improve or maintain the quality of your relationships? And do your long-term friendships still serve you? Because often as we get a bit older, the friendships that we've had for a very long time don't necessarily serve us anymore. Not that, people are bad or in any way, but our lives are different. We go off in different directions, don't we? We need different things. So again, score yourself on the scale. Hello, Angie. Nice to see you. So that's relationships. Next one, style. Now, when I put this in here with all the rest ones, I know it's sort of, sometimes people might go a bit, ooh, isn't that a bit sort of, it's not quite very serious, is it? But I think it actually is, because our own sense of personal style is something that can really either lift us or drag us down in midlife and beyond. And I think it's very easy to get stuck in a rut. So how comfortable are you with your clothes, your hair, your general sense of style? And have those changed over time, or are you stuck in a bit of a rut? And does your style reflect who you are now or who you want to be? And this is where I get very, very not, what's the word? Slightly controversial, not very controversial, but have you succumbed to ageist stereotypes in terms of how you should look and dress now? Have you bought into that? Well, I'm over a certain age, so my hair needs to be a certain way, or I'm over a certain age, so I can't wear a certain thing. I'm guessing you probably haven't, but it's something to bear in mind and also be aware of, because you never know, you might be sometimes. So what changes might you make to update your look? So score yourself again on the scale. How comfortable are you with your overall sense of style? Angie says she's a 4 for her financial situation. Yeah, I think I'm probably about a 4. It's a bit worrying, isn't it, really? But there's all sorts of things that can be done, so don't worry. But it's useful, I think, to go through this exercise and actually think about all these different things. Susie says, non-existent. I need a dog or something. I'm guessing you meant on the primary relationship. Okay. Dogs are good. Are you in the Where are you? Where are you, Susie? If you're in the UK, you can have borrow my doggy, and then you can borrow somebody else's doggy and take them for walks. Eyes here. Oh my God, I'm in a deep style rut. Oh no, really? Oh, well, stick with us. We'll get you out of that style rut. And Angie says, I work to live, unfortunately. I think a lot of us do, don't we? But what I'd like is that, the older we get, the more it can move the other way, so that we love what we're doing. Because there's that saying, isn't there, that if you do a job you love, you never work a day in your life. And as I said earlier, I would do this now for free, because I love it so much. And I love the community that I'm building. It's fantastic. Okay, so Claire says, I veer from loving the idea of losing myself in my nana days and then wanting to scream in the face, stereotype, dye my hair pink, get a tattoo and wear red lipstick every day. Red lipstick? I don't have a tattoo and don't have pink hair, but I've got lots of red lipstick. And red. I'm more red now than ever before, but then it is my brand colour. I'm always wearing red. So, I know, I do think, and Claire, I would say, both are good. If you want to lose yourself in your nan days, that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Where I'm coming from is I want it to be a proactive choice. I want us to have the power and the support network, whatever it might be, to be able to make those kind of decisions, so that it's not something that we just do because we slip into it. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Okay, what have I got here on my desk? This screen seems to be terribly big and you're seeing all sorts of my messy stuff. Move it out of the way. Okay, so on from style. Fulfilment, purpose and legacy. So this is a biggie, and I've put all of these together, but it is a very big area. I mean, it could be 3 areas by itself, really, although fulfilment and purpose are quite closely linked. So this goes back to certainly my thinking that, the older I get, the more desire I have to be fulfilled, to have purpose. For years, I didn't have any choice. I literally had to work. But I wasn't very clever about the work I did. I just did what was there. I wasn't proactive about deciding what I wanted to do and how to make that happen. So, is there something you've always wanted to do, but you now fear it's too late? And what's your wildest dream? So I said, no constraints here. It's never too late for anything. Do you feel fulfilled and that life has a purpose? And how might you bring more of a sense of purpose into your life? And have you considered what your obituary might say? I know that sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? But have you considered it? Write your own obit and think, what are people going to say about you? Are you happy with what they might say about you? Or do you feel, no, there's still masses I want to do. I want to get it all done. And I want to change the world, whatever it might be. Okay, so score yourself again. Number 1, not at all comfortable. 5, just okay. 10, extremely comfortable. Okay? So now, what does Michelle say? Michelle says, I rather feel like I'm experiencing my second teenage years right now. Things changing physically, emotionally, etc. Well, you are. I mean, if you're in menopause, that is puberty in reverse. So experiencing all of those things that you experience in puberty is completely natural. And so many people don't realise this, but it's exactly what is happening to your body if you think about it. Your hormones are going all over the place. and they're changing. But in the same way that puberty was like a rebirth, in a way, I see menopause in this time of life as a rebirth. I'm absolutely passionate about that. I don't know, some of you will know that I went through early menopause at 41, when I'm 52 now. And I feel better and bolder than ever. You know, I have more confidence. I'm more secure in myself. I know what I'm doing. I'm doing stuff now that I could never have done when I was younger. So really, for me, it has been a rebirth. And the hormonal changes have made me into a different person. But that's a different person that I really like. So there you go. Angie says, I'm sorry, but my side is lagging terribly. Cannot complete the workshop. It's a pity because I'm enjoying it. Oh, that's a pity, Angie. But you can always catch up later and watch it again another time. Is it your internet that's not working? Okay, so deciding on priorities and next steps. So are you going to go top down, bottom up, or any other old order? What's most important to you? So now, earlier, I gave you a link. I'll give it to you again. And that was the snapshot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on. This is the snapshot, okay? So you have this as a link. So you can go and download this. And you can then fill this in. So what we're doing, let me just take you back to this one. So we're going to take your scores and transfer them over to the snapshot sheet. So let me give you the link to the snapshot again. Okay, there's the snapshot. Okay, so, and it's also, hopefully, it's fillable in, so you don't even need to print it out. You can actually have it on your machine and fill it in. You can do it later, but we'll just talk about it now. So, and the reason for doing this is because when you put it all on the sheet and put your thoughts down, you can then see where the biggest gaps are. You can work out, are the gaps important or not? Do they matter to you? And then what have you learnt from the overall process? And what you can then also add to your midlife toolkit and what action steps you might want to take. So let's look at the first sheet of the audit snapshot. So across the top, we've got our areas of focus. So we've got, as we said before, financial security, career and work, caring and other commitments, health and well-being, relationship style, fulfilment, purpose and legacy. And then here you've got just some reminders really of what we talked about in the next row, just to get you thinking in terms of what's important, what you want to consider. And then the next row down, how happy you are. So put your scores in there. Put whatever score you had in there. Michelle says, I'm a 6 in purpose. Totally agree. We're doing things now I would never have done before. Good, yeah. I think I'm probably up with an 8 on purpose, which is better than I've ever been in my whole life, which is, is great. I'm really pleased about security, financial security, a bit way down. Making it all pay for itself, not so good. But anyway, it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? So, and then for each of these areas as well, so this one coming down, the third row, what's good about this area of your life? So it's not just about picking holes in it, it's about saying, okay, well, what is good about this and why is it good? So actually writing it down, what is good, because it's always good to remind ourselves of what is good. And even to, bring in a bit of gratitude and say, well, yeah, I've done good on that. That's all right, So look at all of those things and think about what is good in that area of your life. Then the bottom row, what needs improvement in that particular area? So we've talked through some of the issues. So what are the things that you could do with improving? Okay. Then on the next sheet, again, we've got the areas of focus across the top. Do you need outside help to improve this area of your life? So is there something that you could get from outside to help? Is that advice? Is that community? What is it? How do you, what do you think you could get from outside? And what might that look like? How would it look to you? Then on the 5 steps, if you can map that across the 5 steps as well, where do you feel you are on the 5 steps relative to this area of your life? Because I think that will also give you an idea of, the potential journey that you're on in each area. Okay? And then for each of them, whether it's a focus area for you, because you might not be at all bothered. And if you're not bothered, then you don't need to even think about it. Just go, okay, I don't need to focus on that one. I can just cross that one out. So is it a focus area? Yes or no? And then on the final one, I'm going to get you to actually think about some action steps. So first of all, pick out your areas of focus, and then think about what you might do by way of an action step to take some action. So you've got room there to put 3 action steps, and then any other thoughts that you might have on the whole process and anything that's come up. Okay? I don't know where you all are, but it's been 30 degrees in London today. Now, if that doesn't mean we've actually really got climate change, I don't know what does. So Deborah says, financial security, that's your top priority. I think it's probably mine too, actually, unfortunately. I think it is. So Claire says, you're 2, is that, you're only a 2 on relationship? Oh. So what are your action steps then? What are you going to do about it, Claire? There's my challenge. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? Susie says career is her top focus. Is that because you're not happy in the one you're in? You want to change? Or you're not in a job or anything at the moment? Okay, Emily says relationships and career. So those are your top 2, are they? Areas of focus. Okay, so now, and Eyes here says relationships and health. So I'm going to ask you now to take your top area of focus. And I wasn't planning to do this, but why not? I'm going to challenge you to come up with 2 action steps. I won't make you give me 3. You're not going to, I can't make you give them to me, can I? But come up with 2 action steps for your top area, your top focus area, and share them with me. Go on, I dare you. I dare you. Share them with me. Claire says, I'm making dinner at the same time, so I'm going to do this properly later, but I know I want to really focus on financial security. And Mary says, this is where my mic stand is in the way of the comments. Very annoying. Maybe I could move it over. But then if I go back to the screen, I'll be in trouble. Hang on, let's see. Mary says, I'm focusing on work right now, but that will involve my financial security. Yes. And my health affects all of these, though. Yes, I know, Mary, it does, doesn't it? I know. So many of them are interconnected. Susie says, yes, currently unemployed, building an online biz. Then you're not unemployed if you're building an online biz. You're an entrepreneur, like me. You're an online entrepreneur. Not unemployed. Oh, Claire's taken the challenge. Excellent. She says she's going to sit down with her other half and have a meeting about taking back responsibility for our joint security. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, she took the challenge. Who else is going to tell me an action step? 1 or possibly 2. And Claire's making dinner at the same time. So she's definitely multitasking, aren't you, Claire? Who else? I'm looking over there because that's where my comments are. So I'm sorry when I look away from the camera because I'm checking the comments. Eyes here says, I need to learn more about nutrition. Okay. Yeah. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Anybody else want to share their action steps? Okay, Katie says, I need to address my exercise, augment with different ways to keep my body fit. Menopause is a wake-up call. Oh, yes, isn't it just? I think wake-up call is a very good way of putting it, because I actually think it is that. And it's menopause comes along and says, okay, you haven't been looking after yourself. You have been abusing yourself. You have been doing a bit too much of that and a bit too little of that. And I'm not having any more. I'm going to make you sit up and take notice, because you often find that, I know this may annoy some people, but if your diet's good, your level of fitness is reasonable, you're not overweight, you don't drink too much, you don't have too much caffeine, etc., etc., then you often find that your experience of menopause is fine. Is really fine, and people in other societies where they don't have the same things that we have in our diet or lifestyle, they have a very different experience of menopause. So yeah, I do see it as a wake-up call. I see it as the body saying, if we aren't doing the right stuff, the body's saying, yep, it's time to sort stuff out now. Enough's enough. So let's have a look. Oh, Claire. Oh, gosh. This is a different Claire. Claire Shepherd says, I have to pull my big girl knickers on. Separated for 18 months, need to get those divorce papers sent before end of July. Just a bit scary having been divorced before, so twice before divorce before 48. Yeah, I can understand that's scary. I'm once divorced, and twice might have possibly sometimes occasionally feel like it. I haven't yet. So yeah, I can understand that, but I'm older than you. I've got 4 years on you, so it'll be all right for me. Yeah, no, that's tough, that's hard, but if that's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen, isn't it? Yeah, very hard. Eyes here says she's going to buy a book on nutrition. Good. You can also come, we have lots of resources on nutrition. So Michelle says, I'm researching more holistic treatments for fibromyalgia and set aside a block of time daily to write. Yes, you're going to write for me, I think, aren't you, Michelle? Is that right? I think you are. Yes. I think I've got that right, haven't I? So Emily says, we've done that one. I've covered you. Oh, no, is this another one? Have you changed yours, Emily? Or did I see it before? Emily says, anyway, have a conversation with husband about fairer sharing of responsibility with the family and try and make him feel like he's higher on my list of priorities. And Claire's going to do the same. The different Claire, is going to do the same. Okay, cool. And Michelle says she's going to submit her writings to me, yes, and take the plunge. I'm guessing you missed out some letters there. Plunge, into developing my own blog site. Time to get off center. Did you know that you can, I think with WordPress.com, you can set up a free blog site? I think that's right, or for minimal cost. You could also try publishing articles on Medium, which is a way that some people start just to get their stuff out there. And of course, on sites like mine. And yes, I am willing to look over. Yes, that's right, Michelle. Okay. Excellent. So Kate, oh, hang on. Oh, gosh, you're all very chatty. I like this. I like this very much. This is excellent. Mary says, I'm working on plans I've made regarding work, finances and health. My first step is attending meetings, appointments about work and regarding health, getting financial advice. Good for you, Mary. Good for you. Mary's had a very tough time recently, haven't you? And I love, love, love your positive attitude. Well done. That's brilliant. Good for you. So Katie's telling Claire S, never give up. Sorry to hear, but love to hear you. Here you are looking for love. Yeah. And Lucy's just joined us. Lucy, you're a bit late. Well, I'll let you off. You can always catch it on the catch up. So, okay, so that brings us pretty much to the end of the formal workshop. But what I wanted to do, this, I hope this has been helpful. Has it been helpful? Tell me in the comments if it's been helpful. And if it's given you, a plan for where you might want to go. And this is really just a taster of the sort of things we do in the members club, okay? So I know people don't really understand sometimes what the membership is, but it's kind of doing this sort of thing. And the content and the workshops that we have are all on these topic areas, okay? And it's all about moving you down that success path from questioning at one end to being and feeling magnificent at the other, because that's what it's all about. Eyes here says, yes, very helpful and comes just at the right time for me. Claire says, Claire Shepherd, very, very helpful. What are the range of scores on the midlife audit? What do you mean? What, people on today or in general? Or I don't think there's any, well, it's different for everybody, isn't it? It's completely different. But I think what is good about this process is that unless you actually sit down and do it and have this structured way of doing it, and you have somebody asking you the tricky questions, you don't do it. That's what I find. It's not something we do. But so, for example, financial security, we have a whole workshop in the membership on financial security, and the things that we can be doing, even with limited resources, to try and put ourselves in a better position. So we have a workshop on that. We have several workshops on health and well-being, various different aspects of that. We have movement for life. We have looking after our adrenal glands and the energy aspects of that. We have another one which is tapping into your personal power plant, which is all about building up your own personal energy, and it's very sort of mindset related. We have quite a fair amount on purpose and fulfilment, and I interview women who, some of them have changed track in midlife completely and gone off and done something completely different, and some of them are just doing something really interesting, which is just, I find, really inspiring. But those are all video interviews, and we have downloadable audio files, so you can download them, listen to them anywhere. Oh, and Deborah is a member. Yes, Deborah's a member. And Deborah says it got me started on the audit, which had been in my to-do pile. Excellent, good. I thought it might. This was a quicker version of it. We sort of raced through it, so it's a bit more leisurely in the membership. Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Well, this has been great fun. I've really enjoyed this, and thank you so much, all of you, for joining and signing up. Oh, and the other thing we do in the membership is, okay, you have to write things down in this scenario, but Deborah will know that what we do is we get together on the first and the third Monday of each month, and we get together on Zoom. And you don't have to be on camera if you don't want to be, but it's much better if you are. So we get together on Zoom, and we have a chat. And some people, it used to be a sort of more formal process of setting goals and accountability, because that's what people wanted. And then that maybe people change their minds, and then we just turn up and check in and have a chat, really. So it's evolving. It's always changing. But it's great fun, and it's lovely to meet up with people. So we have members from all over the world, and we get together on Zoom and just meet and have a chat. It's brilliant. So good. So good. Oh, Katie says you're terrific. We'll try the membership out. Oh, fantastic. Yay. Oh, that'd be lovely. Hope to see you soon, Katie. Brilliant. Oh, you're all very welcome. I'm going to head off now because I know that my other half is in the house. He's come home from work and I had to tell him to be very quiet because I was in here. Anybody have anything else they'd like to say, share, ask a question, anything? Otherwise, I'm going to bid you all a very good evening. Thank you again for coming and sharing an evening with me to talk about an audit. I thought it might be too scary, but it wasn't too scary, was it? Hopefully it was useful. I'm going to bid you good evening and thank you all very much.